Hello and welcome to my channel. This channel is all about reading audiobooks from Erin Hunter or similar books. The book we're reading today is called Hawkwing's Journey, and it is a super edition within the series Warriors written by Erin Hunter.
10. Hawkwing stood in the medicine cat's den, sorting through Echo Song's herb stores. It was the morning after the clan meeting, and already his punishment seemed to have stretched out for moons. Sticky juices from the rotting herbs clung to his paws. They stink, he thought resentfully, and they'll taste vile when I try to wash my paws. I'll never get clean. The shriveled herbs were no better. They crumpled under Hawkwing's paws, littering the floor of the den with dust and scraps. And I know which cat will get the privilege of cleaning that up. What's wrong, Hawkwing? Echo Song, still resting in her nest, raised her head and gazed at him with compassionate green eyes. Hawkwing huffed out a breath. I told Echo Song why I'm being punished, he thought. So why does she need to ask? I know I shouldn't have challenged Leafster at the meeting, he admitted, but I'm annoyed that I'm being punished while that traitor Darktail is still stalking around camp as if he owns the place. It wasn't my interpretation of your vision that sent us on a fool's quest and got Billy Storm killed. It was that rogue Darktail. He should be the one doing the gross duties. He gave a lash of his tail. In fact, he shouldn't even be in camp at all. He doesn't belong with this clan. He's not one of us. As he spoke, Echo Song was looking thoughtful. True. I was not expecting Fate's claw to be so treacherous this time, she responded. But any cat can make a mistake, and I have to believe StarClan brought Darktail to us for a reason. What reason? Hawkwing challenged her. I don't know. She conceded with a nod of her head. But just because we can't work out what it is yet doesn't mean the reason isn't there. We have to search for it, that's all. Hawkwing's anger eased a little at the medicine cat's wise words, but a moment later he had to express a growl of annoyance as Darktail strode into the medicine cat's den. What do you want? Hawkwing demanded. Have we come to rub it in that our clan leader took your side? Darktail dipped his head low. I really didn't mean for any cat to suffer, he mewed. Not Billy Storm, and not you. I understand that you're angry, but I promise you, once you've calmed down, you'll see that I meant no harm. You need the pain in your heart to pass, that's all. What do you know about pain? Hawkwing snarled. You didn't lose a brother, he thought. You don't understand what Billy Storm meant to this clan. Darktail heaved a long sigh and sat down beside Hawkwing, wrapping his tail around his paws. You have no idea, he murmured. Hawkwing paused, curious. At first Hawkwing thought he would say no more, but after a long silence he started to speak again. I had a friend. He was not kin to me, but we were brought up together as kids. We did everything together, for many, many moons. Then one long, hard-lived bear, when prey was scarce, he got weaker and weaker. Darktail's voice quivered. He broke off again and then choked out. Then he died. I'm sorry, Hawkwing mewed, feeling a pang of guilt that he'd been so dismissive of Darktail's feelings. I still don't trust him, but they must have been terrible. If we'd lived in a clan, my friend might still be alive, Darktail continued. You'll take care of each other. That's why I'm so grateful to SkyClan for taking me in. And I'm especially grateful to you, he dipped his head respectfully to Hawkwing, because you spoke up for me when some of the others weren't too keen in bringing a rogue. I promise I'll repay the faith you showed me then. Curiosity stirred inside Hawkwing, so that his anger toward the rogue began to ebb a little. How do you plan to do that? I volunteered to lead a new quest, Darktail replied, to show that I'm serious about helping SkyClan to find the spark that remains. That's your plan to fix things? Hawkwing's anger surged up again, and he put all the derision he could into the words. You nearly got us killed on the last quest. Why should we trust you? Because this time I'm putting my pelt in danger, Darktail replied, an edge to his voice. If I'm leading the quest, I'll share in any hazards we face. Besides, I've made contact with a friend of mine, a cat named Rain. He'll come on the quest with us and give us more guidance. Hawkwing wasn't sure about that. Another rogue? Another cat we've never heard of and shouldn't trust. But before he could voice a protest, he remembered how he tried to get Darktail driven out at the clan meeting. Look where that got me. He shrugged. Fine, so go then. Darktail seemed unoffended by Hawkwing's curt response. I know I owe you a debt, he meowed. You were kind enough to bring me into the clan, and then I put you in danger, even though that was the last thing I wanted. But I'm going to make it up to you." "Yeah, right." Hawkwing flicked his ears. "How?" "I'm going to go to Leafstar and insist you're allowed to come along on this new quest. I've talked to Rain," he went on rapidly, before Hawkwing could respond, "and I've figured out where my directions went wrong. So now I know where we need to go. And I want you there, Hawkwing, because I think you deserve to be part of the group that finds the spark that remains and dispels the darkness. You should be part of the group that saves SkyClan." A mixture of emotions rushed over Hawkwing, like a river in spate that threatened to carry him off his paws. He was annoyed Darktail had been named leader of a quest. He's only been here for a couple of heartbeats. But along with that anger came doubt. Why would Darktail offer to lead us himself if he meant to do us harm? Even stronger than both these feelings was pride that Darktail would honour him in this way and vouch for him to his clan leader, especially after all Hawkwing had said to him at the meeting. Unsure how to respond, Hawkwing looked toward Echo Song for guidance, but the medicine cat was curled up in a nest, letting out gentle snores with her tail over her nose. "Well, I don't think you'll be able to persuade Leafstar," Hawkwing told Darktail as the deflating thought came to him. "I'm sure she's still upset with me. I've been too quick to lose my temper lately. That's what put me in here," he added, gesturing to the pile of herbs with his tail. "When I'm angry, I get hot-headed and make rash decisions. That wouldn't be good on a quest." Darktail huffed out a breath, half contemptuous, half amused. "I don't agree. The cat with a temper, the cat who's the quickest to swipe a claw, is often the cat most likely to survive. Being a bit hot-headed, a bit impulsive, makes you a great asset to your clan. You should never forget that, Hawkwing." As the White Tom spoke, Hawkwing found his feelings, still bruised from his father's scolding the day before, generally soothed. Maybe Darktail has a point. And maybe, if I'm allowed to go on this quest, I can prove that I am an asset to my clan, hot temper and all. Sunhigh had almost arrived by the time Hawkwing had finished his tasks in the medicine cat's den. Leaving Echo Song still sleeping, he padded out into the camp and headed toward the fresh kill pile. He noticed the hunting patrols had returned, and most of his clanmates had clustered around the prey. It's not a massive pile, but it looks as if we'll all get fed. Hawkwing had joined the others and chosen a blackbird for himself before he spotted a stranger in the camp, a handsome grey Tom who was standing beside Darktail. "This is Rain," Darktail meowed, dipping his head with the deepest respect to Leafstar and Sharpclaw, who stood in front of him, eyeing the newcomer warily. "He's been living close by, but he hasn't tried to cross your borders until now." "Just as well," Sharpclaw growled, sliding out his claws and expecting Rain through narrowed green eyes. "He would never do that," Darktail assured the clan leader and her deputy, "and I would never even think of bringing a new rogue to stay in SkyClan's camp. It's not my place to do that, not without permission." "So why is he here?" Leafstar asked, her even tone giving nothing away of how she felt. "Rain thinks he knows where the clan cats are living," Darktail explained, "and he's willing to come on the quest to help find them." "I'm happy to do what I can," Rain added with a polite nod. "Then thank you, Rain," Leafstar mewed, warmth creeping into her voice. "You're welcome to our camp." Hawkwing paused in gulping down his blackbird, wondering whether Darktail had really meant what he said earlier in the medicine cat's den. His belly started to churn with anxiety. "There's one more thing, Leafstar," Darktail continued. "I wondered if you would allow Hawkwing to come on this next quest with us." "Hawkwing?" Leafstar sounded doubtful. "He's still being punished for the way he behaved at the meeting." "I know," Darktail twitched his whiskers, "but he's a good, strong cat and very brave. There are so many dangers out there, beyond the borders of your territory, and I think it'd be a good idea to have a cat with us who doesn't hesitate to fight." "He has a point." Leafstar leaned across to murmur in Sharpclaw's ear. "It will be for the good of the clan to let him come," Darktail went on, obviously encouraged by Leafstar's comment. "What better way for him to make up for losing his temper at the meeting than to help his clan find the spark that remains and dispel the darkness?" Leafstar gazed around until she spotted Hawkwing, who tried to look as if he hadn't been listening the whole time. But now he was so excited his belly was churning even harder, and he was afraid he might throw up the prey he'd just eaten. Leicester gazed thoughtfully at Hawkwing for so long he had to clamp his jaws firmly together to stop himself from telling her to hurry up and decide. "Very well," she mewed at last. "I guess Hawkwing can come." "Really?" Hawkwing's father Sharpclaw turned an incredulous look on his clan leader. "You're going to reward that hot-headed young mousebrain for arguing with you in front of the whole clan? Is it really the best idea to send a cat who can't control himself?" Despite himself, Hawkwing felt a hot blaze of anger and had to clamp his jaws shut to bite back a sharp protest. He had to turn away to hide from every cat how furious he was. "I don't want to react to being called hot-headed by acting even more hot-headed, but it isn't fair. Why does Sharpclaw have to ruin everything?" "I've made my decision, Sharpclaw," Leicester meowed firmly. Hawkwing glanced up, too nervous to hope. "I know she won't let me go, not after Sharpclaw's rant." Leicester looked down at him, who even gazed, revealing nothing. "Hawkwing will go on this quest." Hawkwing's anger ebbed away like rain sinking into parched earth. I can go on the quest and help find the spark that remains." He thought again of the other clans. How exciting it would be to meet other cats who lived in SkyClan. It was all he could do not to break into a happy, self-satisfied purr. The sun had set and shadows stretched across the gorge. As Hawkwing headed toward his den, thinking longingly of his comfortable nest, he spotted Sharpclaw padding determinedly toward him. What does he want? Hawkwing wondered nervously. He halted to wait for his father. "Don't start complaining or arguing," he burst out, before Sharpclaw had the chance to say a word. He knew it wasn't advisable to speak to his father this way, but he just couldn't stomach another lecture, not while he was still glowing from their leader's announcement. "Lifters decided, and I'm going, whether you're happy about it or not." "I'm not happy about it," Sharpclaw admitted, his eyes narrowing. "Maybe not for the reason you think. One day, Hawkwing, when you have kids of your own, you'll know what it feels like to almost lose them." "What does that mean?" "Don't you think I can look after myself?" Hawkwing retorted, a growl in his voice. "You're talking like a queen in the nursery, but I'm not a kid anymore. I'm a warrior." Sharpclaw nodded, unexpectedly serious. "I know that, but I can still be worried about you, Hawkwing. I've been talking to Cherrytail about this," he mewed. "Do you think you might have become too reckless since Duskpaw died?" Hawkwing was already on edge, and just the mention of his brother made him self-control snap. "Just when I finally feel like I don't have to feel guilty every moment." "I don't want to hear about Duskpaw anymore," he spat. Sharpclaw's green eyes widened in a mixture of shock and dismay. He stared at Hawkwing in silence for several heartbeats before he spoke again. "How could you want to forget your own brother?" he asked incredulously. "That's not what I meant," Hawkwing began, horrified. Sharpclaw believed he could ever feel that way. But his father had already spun around and began to walk away. Watching his father's retreating back, Hawkwing felt claws of guilt grip around his heart. "Of course I'm not trying to forget Duskpaw. I didn't mean it like that. Did I?" He searched his heart and realized no, he didn't. He never wanted to forget Duskpaw, his silliest littermate, who'd always been able to make him smile. All he'd wanted was to push away the painful memories and not always think about how much he was missing his brother. But Sharpclaw hadn't given him a chance to explain. Hawkwing hugged his head, despair clouding out the happy glow he'd felt at Leicester's decision. "Whatever the rest of my clan sees in me, Sharpclaw doesn't. Will my father ever understand?" Clouds covered the sky, and a thin drizzle was falling, soaking through Hawkwing's fur and making him shiver. The dawn light was strengthening, but there was no sign of the sun. Sagenose, Firefern, and Harrybrook had been chosen to go on a new quest with Hawkwing, Darktail, and Rain. All of them were crouching around the fresh kill pile, bolting down prey before setting out on their search. Hawkwing swallowed the last bite of mouse and stretched out his forelegs to loosen up for the long journey. Beside him, Darktail was doing the same. "How long do you think we'll be away?" Hawkwing asked him. The White Tom paused before replying, a thoughtful look in his eyes. "As long as it takes," he replied at last, "until we find the spark and dispel the darkness." His words woke a glow of determination in Hawkwing's heart. "Yes, this time we won't stop until we find Firestar's kin." Rising to his paws, Darktail gathered his patrol around him with a sweep of his tail. At the same moment Lista appeared through the drizzle, with Echo Song limping at her side, and a group of the Sky Clan cats straggling behind. "We're ready to go," Darktail announced, sharing a solemn look with the clan leader. "I promise you, I'll succeed this time." Lista dipped her head while Echo Song padded around and gave travelling herbs to each of the questing cats. Hawkwing licked them up, grimacing at the bitter taste on his tongue. "May Starkland light your path," Lista meowed, "and bring you home safe." Calling their goodbyes, the patrol followed Darktail as he headed for the trail that led to the top of the cliff. As he brought up the rear, Hawkwing noticed the apprentice Pebblepaw staring at him, a worried look in her eyes. "Is she anxious about me, or the whole group?" Hawkwing asked himself. He had barely spoken to Pebblepaw since their return from the first quest, not out of hostility, that was all in the past, but because he knew she was grieving for Billy Storm, and that he was maybe the last cat she would want to comfort her. Now his Pebblepaw could just be thinking about the good of the clan, but he couldn't stifle the feeling that she was especially fearful for him. "But I'm not sure she cares anything about me," he told himself. "I can't even begin to imagine it." All Hawkwing could do was tear his gaze away and bound over to the foot of the cliff, scrambling to catch up with his clanmates. He had no idea any more of how he felt about the young she-cat. With Darktail in the lead, the patrol headed across a wide stretch of grass bounded by lines of bushes on all four sides. Several fox lengths away, a group of huge black and white animals was standing, tearing at the grass and grinding it slowly between teeth like jutting stones. Hawkwing cast sidelong glances at them, trying hard not to look nervous in front of the two rogues. "What are those?" Harry Brooke asked, the fur on his shoulders beginning to bristle. "I didn't think animals could be that big." "They're called cows," Rain informed him with a wave of his bushy grey tail. "They're not dangerous, but it's best to stay away from them. They never look where they're going." 2 days had passed since the questing cats had left for the Sky Clan camp. After the first rainy morning, the weather had cleared, and now a stiff breeze was blowing, sending fluffy white clouds scudding across the sky. Hawkwing was enjoying the warmth of sunlight on his pelt and the enticing scent of prey from the bushes up ahead. "I hope Darktail lets us stop to hunt soon." Beyond the line of bushes, Hawkwing could see a copse of taller trees, and beyond that the walls of a two-leg den, looming up vast even at that distance. Darktail seemed to be heading straight for it. "We're not going there, are we?" Hawkwing asked. "We don't want to get mixed up with two legs." "That's exactly where we're going," Darktail replied. "It's a two-leg barn, sure, but the two legs abandoned it long ago." Like the badgers abandoned the dens in that clearing, Hawkwing thought, instantly wary. But he kept his suspicions to himself, only resolving to be very careful as he and the rest of the patrol approached the den. "Why are we going there?" Firefern asked, putting on speed to pad beside Darktail and Hawkwing. "Because I think it might be one of the places where Firestar and his kin took refuge," Darktail replied. "They might even still be there, but if they have moved on, we might be able to find traces of them." "Cool," Firefern meowed. Hawkwing's pads prickled with excitement. He hadn't realized they could be so near to meeting with the other clans. What will they think of us? What will we say to them? Darktail led the way through the bushes, the thorny branches scraping the cat's sides as they wiggled through the gaps. The copse lay a few tail lengths ahead, in a tangle of ferns and bramble. The air was still full of prey scent, but Hawkwing wasn't thinking about hunting anymore, when they might be so close to the end of their quest. Then, as they drew nearer to the trees, Hawkwing caught a flicker of movement in the branches. Instantly he froze. "Darktail," he called out in a hoarse voice. "Up ahead!" Then he broke off as Darktail bounded forward, obviously relaxed, and called out, "Toad? Toad, is that you?" At the sound of Darktail's voice, a skinny, mottled brown Tom jumped down from one of the trees and trotted forward to meet Darktail. "Hi," he mewed, stretching out his neck so the two cats could touch noses. Darktail mewed a happy greeting, his whiskers twitching with excitement. "It looks like they're old friends," Hawkwing murmured to Firephone. "Yes, we are," Darktail responded, glancing over his shoulder as the rest of the patrol caught up with him. "I'm sorry, friends. Let me introduce you. This is Toad. We've known each other for ages. Toad and Rain and I have often hunted together in the past. Isn't that right, Rain?" Rain nodded. "Right. Hi, Toad. It's good to see you again." Toad nodded. "So what are you doing in these parts?" he asked. His glance raked over the SkyClan cats. "And who are these?" "More friends of ours," Darktail replied, settling down comfortably in the shelter of a clump of ferns and wrapping his tail around his paws. Rain sat beside him and beckoned with his tail for the other questing cats to join him. "We're looking for even more cats," Darktail continued to Toad. "A big group of them. Have you seen any unfamiliar cats around here?" "Funny you should say that." Toad raised one hind paw to give his ear a vigorous scratch. "I did see a whole crowd of them. Strong cats, well fed, with glossy fur. It was weird. I've never seen so many travelling together in a group." Excitement blazed through Hawkwing like fire licking through dried bracken. The spark that remains! His earlier apprehension of the sudden appearance of another rogue was swallowed up and forgotten. "They sound like clan cats," he exclaimed. "Could they have been Firestar's kin?" Toad twitched his whiskers dismissively. "I've never heard of any cat called Firestar," he replied, "but I kept my distance. I just know they camped for a while here in this barn, and they weren't rogues." Hawkwing's paws itched to sprint straight to the barn. "We were right all along." "Come on," he urged Darktail, springing to his paws and kneading the ground in his eagerness to get going. "Let's hurry." "Hang on a moment." Sage Snow flicked out his tail to stop Hawkwing from bounding toward the barn. Irritated, Hawkwing opened his eyes to protest, then saw the doubt in his clanmate's eyes. He sat down again, saying nothing. "As I understand it," Sage Nose went on, "the other clans have an awful lot of cats between them. Would they all fit in that barn?" "Good question," Harry Brooke put in. "And how long have they lived there? According to Ravenport, they left the forest many, many moons ago." "Well, it's a big barn," Toad responded, "and it would take many moons for that many cats to find a suitable place to live." "Of course, we don't have all the answers now," Darktail replied with an unconcerned flick of his ears. "Perhaps some clans have splintered off. Perhaps their numbers have dwindled. But surely we would check out the barn, at least." The SkyClan cats glanced at each other, Hawkwing struggling to conceal his impatience. "Do you know if the clan cats are still there?" Sage Nose asked Toad. The skinny rogue shrugged. "They may be," he replied. "I noticed them when they first moved in, but I haven't been back there in a while." "Why don't we just go and look?" Hawkwing demanded. "What do we have to lose?" Sage Nose gave a grunt of agreement. "Okay, but let's all stay alert. We need to be ready if there's any trouble." "It'll be fine," Darktail mewed easily. "Toad, come along with us. Perhaps we can introduce you." Toad padded alongside Darktail, led the questing cats toward the barn. As he drew closer, Hawkwing couldn't work out what he thought of the place. His fur began to bristle as he spotted a monster crouching beside a wall of reddish rock, only to lie flat again as he realized it must be dead. Its insides were blackened and shriveled as if fire had roared through it. Hawkwing shivered. Even for a monster, that's a cruel way to die. There were no sounds coming from the barn, which made Hawkwing think Darktail must be right, and the two legs who built it had abandoned it long ago. But when he opened his jaws to taste the air and pick up traces of the clan cats, strong two-leg scents flowed in. Would Firestar's kin really hide out here, so close to two legs? Hawkwing glanced at his clanmates, who were all creeping around the barn, sniffing eagerly for the cat scent they had hoped to find. Rarely he padded over to join them, but the scent of two legs was swamping everything else. There was another scent, cutting through it. Alarm jolted through Hawkwing as he identified it. "Dogs!" he yelled. At the same moment the doors of the barn burst open. Two huge dogs sprang out, then skidded to a halt. The jaws were parted and their tongues lolled as they let out bone-chilling howls. Two vicious-looking two-legs were holding them back by long tendrils fastened around their necks. For a heartbeat, Hawkwing and the other cats froze with terror. One of the two legs growled something, and to Hawkwing's horror both two legs let go of their tendrils. The dogs were free! "Run!" Darktail screeched. Hawkwing spun around and raced away, his clanmates pelting alongside him, with Darktail and the other rogues just ahead. "Follow me! Make for the trees!" Darktail yelled. "Dogs can't climb!" Hawkwing's paws barely touched the ground as he hurled himself toward the copse. He could hear the dogs barking behind him, and imagined he could feel the hot breath on his hindquarters. His heart pounded at the thought of their vicious teeth meeting his tail. Toad was the first cat to reach the nearest tree. At once he swarmed up the trunk and balanced on a low branch. Darktail clambered up beside him. Hawkwing leaped up onto another tree next to them. Digging his claws into the fork where he crouched, he looked around and gasped with relief as he saw Firefern, Harrowbrook, and Sagenose safe among the branches of a third tree on the other side of Darktail. Last of all, the dog was only a mouse length behind him. Rain made an enormous leap and dug his foreclaws into the branch of Darktail's tree. Hoisting himself up, he crouched there, hissing defiance at the dogs below. Hawkwing gazed down at the ferocious creatures, his chest heaving as he fought for breath. The dogs were running wild circles at the base of the trees, barking fiercely as they looked up, their jaws slavering. The two legs stood at a distance, pointing their forepaws and letting out huffs of laughter. "How are we going to get out of this?" Hawkwing wondered, trying to stop himself from trembling with fear. His gaze was still fixed on the dogs when he heard a sudden shriek, and whipped his head around to see Toad falling from his branch in a frantic tangle of paws and tail. His claws scraped on another branch as he plummeted past it, but he couldn't get a grip. He hit the ground right between the two dogs. Toad was obviously half stunned by the impact. He struggled to his paws and tried to run, but he was far too slow. Before he'd staggered more than a couple of steps, the nearest dog was upon him, grabbing his hind legs in its jaws. Toad let out a terrified screech. "Help me!" Hawkwing couldn't see what he or any of the others could do. "If we jump down and fight, the dogs will kill us. They're fiercer even than the badgers." Howls of anguish came from the other SkyClan cats. Hawkwing opened his jaws and let out his own terror and despair. "This is too horrible. It's happening right in front of us, but there's nothing we can do." We couldn't go on looking any longer, as Toad's shrieks were abruptly cut off. "Listen, all of you," Darktail hissed. "This is our chance. While the dogs are distracted, we can escape." "But what about Toad?" Hawkwing asked, even though he knew how useless the question was. The rogue's gaze turned dark. "There's nothing we can do for Toad now."